Today, we're going all in on no-limit hold'em strategy.
Sounds good to me.
Specifically, we're looking at this blog post.
Okay.
It's called Poker Rewards, Selective Aggression.
Interesting title.
And it's by this guy, Ed Reef.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Now, he seems to have some pretty strong opinions
Yeah.
on how to play this game.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
And you know it's not for the faint of heart.
I like to think I'm fairly brave when it comes to poker, so I'm ready to hear what he has to say.
Well, good, because he's not afraid to ruffle some feathers.
All right, bring it on. So one of the first things that really jumped out at me was this analogy he uses.
Okay.
He compares going to a casino feeling lucky to going to a sports bar feeling athletic.
That's a new one.
Yeah, it's pretty out there, right?
It is. What do you think he's getting at with that?
I think he's trying to tell us that, those feelings, they don't really mean much in either situation.
So it's not enough to just feel lucky or feel athletic? It's exactly. You need more than just a feeling.
You need a plan.
You need a plan.
I like it.
You need a strategy.
Right. You wouldn't walk into a sports bar expecting to dominate a basketball game just because you worked out that morning.
Right. You need to actually, know how to play the game.
Exactly. Practice skills, strategy.
All that good stuff.
So he's saying poker's the same way.
Exactly. And he really emphasizes that with no limit hold'em.
Okay.
Or NLH, as he calls it. He calls it a game of ins and outs, need, and speed aggravation and acceleration.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's intense, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, you can't just rely on luck with this one.
You got to know what you're doing.
You got to know the game inside and out.
So he's really highlighting that intensity, complexity. It's not just about the cards.
It's how you play them, the decisions you make under pressure.
Right. And how do you think he feels about amateur players, like the ones who maybe don't grasp that strategic depth?
I think he believes a lot of them get fooled by randomness. Ah, I see.
They might see a few lucky hands and think they've cracked the code.
Right, they think they're invincible.
Exactly. But without a solid understanding of the game.
They're likely to make costly mistakes.
Big time.
So according to Ed Reef, what's the key to avoiding those pitfalls and actually winning?
Well, the title of his blog post kind of gives it away.
How does it?
Aggression.
Okay, he's all about aggression.
He believes that betting is almost always superior to calling.
Interesting.
He even says in NLH, betting beats calling.
So he's really advocating for being proactive, taking control, dictating the action.
Absolutely, rather than passively reacting to your opponents.
So is he saying just bet wildly all the time?
Not exactly. It's more about selective aggression.
Selective aggression.
Choosing the right moments
to
apply pressure force folds even when you don't have the best hand.
So there's a strategy behind it.
Oh, absolutely. It's not about being a bully at the table.
Right. You need to know when to be aggressive, when to hold back, when to push, when to fold.
And that's what we'll dive into in part 2.
Okay, sounds good. I'm ready. So we're back digging deeper into Ed Reef and this whole idea of aggression in poker.
Yeah, I'm really starting to see why his blog is so popular.
He's not afraid to challenge those conventional ideas about poker,
Definitely shakes things up.
It's refreshing.
And it's not just, vague advice about being aggressive.
He actually gives you like a framework for understanding it.
He does when and how to use it effectively.
And that's where that selective aggression comes in.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we actually be selective?
Well, he really stresses understanding your position at the table.
Like early, middle, late.
Yeah, exactly. How much information do you have about your opponent's hands?
Okay, so if you're early, you have less information, so maybe you're more cautious.
Right, exactly. And the opposite is true too,
Late position, more aggressive.
More information so you can apply more pressure.
It's almost like a puzzle you're putting together piece by piece.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, with each player's action.
Yeah.
And then, you strike at the right time.
And then he talks about reading your opponents too. What are their patterns?
Are they tight players? Are they loose? Are they bluffers?
Exactly. So it's not just about the cards, it's about the psychology.
Yeah, the mental game.
He even goes so far as to say that poker is 100% skill and 100% luck.
Wait a minute, how can it be both of those things?
It's a paradox for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it gets it, what makes poker so interesting.
Okay.
Luck gives you the cards, but skill determines how you play them.
So you could have a bad hand but still win.
Exactly. If you play it right, exploit those weaknesses.
That's where the selective aggression, the opponent analysis come in.
It helps you minimize the impact of luck and really maximize the skill.
This is making a lot of sense, but does he give any, like, specific examples?
Oh yeah, he does. He uses some pretty strong imagery.
Like what?
He compares no limit hold'em to like a concussion.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and then he talks about needing T for testosterone and A for aggression. He's really getting at that intensity and strategic depth of the game.
So it's not for the casual player.
Not for the faint of heart.
He wants you to be bold, be assertive look for every edge.
And I think he uses that strong imagery to drive that point home.
It's not reckless aggression, though, right?
No, it's control. It's calculated. You're thinking strategically, but you're not afraid.
Yeah, I like that combo.
So this is all great, but what about when you get lucky?
Like you hit a lucky streak?
What does he say about that?
Yeah.
That's a great question, and it leads to one of his most insightful points, I think.
Okay, I'm listening.
He thinks even those lucky moments can actually be transformative.
What, like change how you see the game?
Exactly, like hitting a lucky river card or winning a big pot against the odds. It can shift your perspective.
Never thought of it that way.
He says it can reveal new layers of strategy.
So luck can be a learning experience, too.
Exactly, a catalyst for growth. You analyze those decisions, and it deepens your understanding.
So it's like he's advocating for a growth mindset in poker.
It's not just about the wins and losses. You're always trying to improve.
This is great, but does he acknowledge any downsides to this approach?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He doesn't shy away from the risks.
Because you could lose big if you're too aggressive, right?
Right, and he acknowledges that aggression has a cost.
Meaning?
He actually says, aggression has a cost. You must risk losing to win and use discipline to avoid being outplayed.
So you got to be smart about it, know when to push and when to fold.
Exactly. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
He compared your chips to ammunition. You don't want to waste your bullets.
Got to pick your targets carefully.
Right. Make every bet count. And even the most aggressive players need to be patient.
Patience and discipline.
So it's calculated risk-taking. You're understanding the odds, making informed decisions.
Okay, that makes sense. And this all leads to another one of his key ideas.
Which is?
Fluidity.
Ah, yes. He talks about being fluid and formless like water.
Now, I got to admit, I'm not sure I totally get that one.
So he's talking about being adaptable, being unpredictable.
Okay, can you give me an example?
So, like, if your opponents can always predict what you're going to do.
They know when you're bluffing.
Exactly. They can take advantage of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do we become more fluid?
He says it starts with knowing yourself.
Okay, so self-awareness.
What are your tendencies? Are you too aggressive? Are you too passive?
You have tells.
Exactly. Know your strengths and weaknesses.
Got it. So once you know yourself, then you can start to mix things up.
Throw your opponents off balance,
So if I'm usually a tight player, I could try bluffing more.
Exactly. Or if you're super aggressive, maybe slow down your play, be more selective.
It's like you're putting on a performance.
Oh, I like that.
You're trying to control how your opponents see you.
You're acting.
Yeah, and you got to be convincing, right? If your bluff is obvious, it won't work.
So fluidity isn't just about changing your bets. It's a mindset.
You project confidence, even with a weak hand.
Be unpredictable. Keep them guessing.
It's about controlling the whole game, not just individual hands.
You become the puppet master, pulling the strings.
But that takes a lot of focus, a lot of energy.
It does. It takes practice and discipline.
But the rewards could be huge.
He says the rewards are huge, and he's not just talking about money.
Okay, so what else?
He thinks mastering this fluid approach, it can actually change you.
Really?
It can teach you about adaptability, risk management, human psychology.
Wow, so it goes beyond poker.
Exactly. It helps you in other areas of life, too.
So we've talked about aggression, opponent analysis, this fluidity thing.
We've covered a lot of ground.
I gotta say, Ed Reef has really made me rethink my poker strategy.
Me too. I think he's given us a lot to chew on.
And hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired to try some of this out.
Yeah, go out there and experiment.
Remember, it's not about the cards you're dealt. It's about how you play them.
With a little strategy, a little aggression.
You might surprise yourself.
So the next time you're at the table,
ask yourself, what would Ed Reef do?
And if you want to go deeper,
check out his blog.
It's packed with insights.
For players of all levels.
Until next time, may your bets be bold, your bluffs be brilliant, and your poker journey be full of exciting twists and turns.
All right, so we're back. We're wrapping up our deep dive on Ed Reef's poker strategy.
Yeah, a lot to unpack here.
We talked about aggression, reading your opponents, even those lucky moments being learning experiences.
It's all connected.
But we haven't really talked about this fluidity thing.
Right. Being fluid and formless like water.
Yeah. I mean, I've played a bit of poker myself.
Yeah.
And I can see how being predictable
Oh, yeah.
would make you an easy target.
Absolutely. Your opponents figure out your patterns. They can exploit that.
So how do we avoid that? How do we become more fluid?
Well, he says it starts with, knowing yourself.
Okay, so self-awareness.
Yeah, like what are your tendencies? Are you always betting big or are you always folding?
Do I have any tells?
Yeah, exactly. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses before you can really start adapting.
Okay, so once you know yourself,
Then you can mix things up.
keep your opponents guessing.
Right. Throw them off balance.
So like if I'm usually a tight player, I could try bluffing more.
Exactly. Or if you're super aggressive, maybe slow down a little bit.
It's almost like acting, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're putting on a performance, trying to control how your opponents see you.
And you got to be convincing.
Yeah, like a good actor.
If your bluff is obvious, they'll see right through it.
So it's more than just changing your bets. It's a whole mindset.
Project that confidence, even with a weak hand.
Keep them on their toes.
Right. Never let them get comfortable.
This is powerful stuff. It's not just about winning hands,
It's about controlling the whole game.
dictating the action,
Reef wants you to be the puppet master.
pulling the strings.
But it does take work.
Yeah, like a lot of focus, a lot of mental energy.
It does. It takes practice discipline.
But Reef says the rewards are worth it.
Oh, yeah. He says they're huge.
And he's not just talking about money, is he?
He thinks mastering this fluid approach, it can really change you as a person.
Okay. How so?
You learn about adaptability, risk management, even human psychology.
So it goes beyond the poker table.
Exactly. It's about life, too.
So we've covered a lot today.
Selective aggression,
Opponent analysis.
fluidity.
It's a lot to take in.
Ed Reef has really given us a lot to think about.
And hopefully our listeners are feeling inspired.
To try some of this out.
Yeah, take what you've learned.
Experiment. See what works for you.
And remember, it's not just about the cards you're dealt.
It's how you play them.
A little strategy,
Yeah.
a little aggression.
And who knows, you might surprise yourself.
So next time you're at the table, ask yourself,
What would Ed Reef do?
that's a great question. And if you want to go deeper,
Check out his blog.
tons of great insights.
For players at all levels.
Until next time, good luck out there.
May your bets be bold, your bluffs be brilliant, and your poker journey be full of exciting twists and turns.